Last night on MasterChef Australia, Danny took top honours with a soulful dish for His Holiness, the Dalai Lama.
This also good, this also good.
But Billy, Kate and Ellie were in need of compassion.
I'm sorry.
Tonight, the bottom three pay the price.
The bad news is you now stand in the elimination firing line.
But dodging a bullet won't be easy.
Stressed, spelled backwards, is desserts.
Have you checked your rhubarb?
No. This is going to be one of the toughest pressure tests I think we will ever see.
Careful, careful.
It's a fight for a spot in the top 6.
Imagine if you got through this pressure test with your immunity intact.
Yesterday, we cooked for the Dalai Lama. Unfortunately, Kate, Ellie, and I cooked the least favorite dishes. So today, we are facing pressure tests. I guess the first elimination was like being hit in the face and a chance to realize how much you miss the competition. That's why I think since I came back into the competition, I definitely want to stay a lot longer.
I've decided to put my necklace on this morning that my 4-year-old has made for me. And it just reminds me that I'm a mum and that they are such a big part of my life. And that when I cook, I'm going to cook as if I'm cooking for them. I want to cook my absolute best for the people I love, and hopefully that will stand me in good stead in the kitchen today.
There are a lot of things going through my mind this morning. I've got the opportunity today of either cooking and fighting my way into the top 6 or using my immunity pin. I'm good in pressure tests. I've made it through 5 in this competition so far.
Ellie, your Bomb Alaska looked spectacular.
Ellie, Chelsea, it comes down to the 2 of you. Ellie, Jay, it comes down to the 2 of you.
That little pastry shows that this is Ellie at her eliminating best. There's a reason why they call her the Eliminator. Ellie, you've saved yourself for the 5th time.
I could make it through today and I could hold on to the pin for a little bit longer, but it's a bit of a gamble. This is probably one of the hardest decisions that I've had to make this whole competition. I don't know what to do.
It's been such a wild ride for Ellie. She's gone from extreme high to extreme low. And I think that she would be fine if she didn't use her immunity pin, but at the same time, is it worth the risk?
Welcome back to the MasterChef kitchen. Ellie, Kate, Billy, the bad news is you now stand in the elimination firing line. You're about to face the pressure test, where one of you will go home. Don't let this be your final chapter in the MasterChef kitchen. The good news is, dodge that bullet, and you'll be through to the top 6 of MasterChef 2011. Ellie, in this season of MasterChef, there have been 7 pressure tests. You found yourself in 5 of them. You're now about to face your 6th pressure test. The difference, though, on your chest, that shiny golden immunity pin. What are you thinking? You're going to step out? You're going to use your pin?
Half of me wants to cook today, but the other half is just saying, just play it safe.
Ellie, imagine if you got through this pressure test with your immunity intact. How powerful that would really be.
This decision is just really messing with my head.
What would you do, George?
I like risk, Gary.
I like risk too.
I love the thrill. But I also like safety.
I've just been going round and round circles, and I keep coming back to if I got eliminated today, I'd be really disappointed.
It's your decision at the end of the day, it's not ours.
I know.
What's the final decision?
I'm going to use it. Going into another pressure test is just something that I just don't want to do.
Ellie hands over her immunity pin.
There you go.
Sure.
Yes, take it away.
And I think it's definitely the right decision. Kate and Billy both have shown that they're at the top of their game, and to be cooking off against them is definitely a risk.
Kate and Billy, it means it's only the two of you that'll compete in the pressure test. Only one of you will stay in, and one of you will go home.
What you'll be pleased to know about is there's not too many twists and turns on this one. A traditional pressure test. You get the same ingredients, same recipe, and same time limit. And we decide who stays and who goes. All very straightforward, so you don't have to worry about the rules, which leaves you plenty of headspace to worry about the dish. And this one is going to give you a migraine. Your pressure test dish has been created by one of the best pastry chefs in this country.
It's dessert.
She is the only pastry chef ever to have won Sydney's Chef of the Year. She worked for Gordon Ramsay, Marco Pierre White, and of course Greg Doyle at Pier Restaurant. She's the co-owner and chef at S68 Restaurant in Bangalore. Please welcome, with the dish that you're going to be cooking, Katrina Kanatani.
I'm Katrina Kanatani, pastry chef and part owner of S68 Restaurant in Bangalore. I like to incorporate different textures, flavours, colours and even temperatures all into one dessert. I have a classical background in food, but I consider my style to be contemporary. It's fun to make and fun to eat.
Katrina, welcome back to the MasterChef kitchen. Now, your desserts aren't renowned for being the most simplistic. Have you let these guys off lightly with the dessert that you've made today?
Not at all. There's a few different elements in the preparation and the plating.
So their work is going to be cut out for them, right?
I think you'll be busy.
I can't wait to see the look on your faces when Katrina pulls the cloche on that dessert. Katrina?
Okay. The dish you're both cooking today, I've simply named Autumn.
When I see the dish, my immediate thought is, thank God I'm not down there.
Oh boy, there's a lot of work in that.
There are just so many things going on the plate. The color and the plating and all the different elements are just spectacular.
Wow. You're in trouble. Katrina, can you describe to us each of the components on this autumn dessert?
Sure, we've got the blackcurrant jelly in the square on the bottom, a plum mousse. Then we've got some slow-baked rhubarb, yuzu cream, cinnamon and rose cannoli, and we have white chocolate powder, a peppermint powder, and herbs and edible flowers.
This is definitely one of the most complicated dessert I've seen. I reckon I might need 2 pairs of hands just to get this dessert done.
Before you kick off with a bit of pain, we're going to give you a little bit of pleasure. Why don't you come over and have a taste?
Where to start?
Katrina, give us the top 3 pressure points.
Okay, the first pressure point I have to say would be the blackcurrant jelly. You have one chance to get it on the plate correctly. It can break and you can't move it once it's on the plate. The second pressure element is the cannoli. You have to make sure it's rolled thinly enough because the pastry bubbles up and you have to put a filling in there. Also, it has to be cooked enough so it stays crispy and doesn't go soggy quickly. The third pressure point is the cooking of the rhubarb. It has to be just cooked.
Oh, the taste is beautiful. The flavours work so well together. It's just like everything's exploding in your mouth.
You've tasted that beautiful dessert, and on top of that, Katrina is going to join us at the judging table. That means you've got to try doubly hard. Don't let it down. Do your absolute best. Remember why you're here. Remember why you're battling it out. Do not underestimate your opponent. You've got 2 hours to recreate that beautiful dish, and your time starts now.
Go, guys!
Go, go, go!
Both Katrina and George have said to us that it is crucial that we plan this dish. So I'm not just reading the recipe once, I'm reading it a couple of times. I really want to understand this recipe, not just read it through lightly.
First thing I have to do is list all the components I have to make and start from the hardest and then down to the easiest. So the first thing I have to start making is definitely the cannoli dough.
I think Kate and Billy both work really well working from a recipe. I think Kate showed in her immunity challenge against Darren Purchase how well she works off a recipe.
Kate! Oh my goodness!
Billy's been through a couple of eliminations before and done really well off it.
This is going to be one of the toughest pressure tests I think we will ever see in the MasterChef kitchen. Not only is it an extremely hard technical dessert, but we have 2 of the best dessert cooks in the competition fighting out for that spot. Today is a traditional pressure test. It's Kate versus Billy, and they're cooking Katrina Canatani's autumn dish. And the least impressive dish will be going home.
For the cannoli dough, it's almost like making pasta. So I just have to mix in flour, some sugar, some oil, and sugar syrup, and just mix in the food mixer until they form into a dough.
Have you got cinnamon in the dough?
Cinnamon? No. Michael definitely is a big help from the balcony. It would be a silly mistake to leave the cinnamon out of the dough because, you know, that's the core flavor of the cannoli.
Once the dough has been kneaded in the machine, it's just a matter of pulling it out, putting it into some cling film and allowing it to rest in the fridge. Now it's time to get started on the blackcurrant jelly. It's actually quite simple. It's just reducing some blackcurrant juice in a saucepan and then adding Cointreau, gelatin and agar-agar powder to it. Agar-agar is a product that's made from seaweed. It has setting properties, but it sets more at room temperature, whereas gelatin has to be refrigerated.
Kate, how you going?
Hey, George. I think I'm going OK.
Yeah?
I'm on the way. I've got the cannoli dough resting in the fridge. I've got the jelly almost ready to pour.
Have you worked with agar-agar before?
No, I haven't, so I'm just going to stick very closely to the recipe.
I would if I was you.
Yeah.
Anything you're worried about, concerned about?
The main thing I'm actually concerned about is the plating. It was an artwork there, and plating hasn't been my strong point, so I really want to leave myself as much time as I possibly can to take care with that plating.
Fantastic. Good luck, Kate.
Usually I will let the jelly cool down before transfer into the tray and set in the fridge. But I try to save time, so I try to cool the jelly down with an ice bath. I'm not looking at the jelly as close as I should, and the next time when I go back to the jelly, it's already started to set in the ice bath.
When Billy pours his jelly onto the tray, you can see that there's lumps in the jelly, and that's definitely not how the presentation dish looked. It's got to be a perfectly thin, perfectly flat slice of jelly.
It doesn't look perfect, but I think I'm still able to get some jelly out of it.
The jelly's in the fridge. The next item I move on to is the plum mousse. To make the mousse, I start with putting some plums into a saucepan, and they go along with some red wine, some sugar and a cinnamon stick. And the recipe says just to simmer them away for about 10 minutes.
What's this here, Kate?
That's the beginnings for the plum mousse.
What have you made so far?
I've got the cannoli dough in the fridge.
Okay.
And
Texture and consistency of that, is it good?
Yeah, I just checked on it before. I'm worried that it might be a little bit on the soft side.
Can we have a look?
Yeah,
Is that
sure.
all right?
When I take George and Gary over to the fridge, they're not happy with the jelly being a bit uneven.
A little bit thick here and there, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really thin on this side, really thick on the other.
And while we're there, they asked to see the dough.
Ooh, wow.
It's quite soft,
it's
isn't it?
really soft.
Yeah.
No, that's not good. That doesn't look good to me.
They both advised me to adjust my dough or it's not going to be able to be rolled out.
When the judges have a look in the fridge...
Look at that, that's a bit dodgy, isn't it?
Gary is not very happy with my jelly because he thinks it's a little bit lumpy and not smooth on the surface.
That's like the surface of the moon, that one. Look, it's got craters and bubbles and all sorts of... And look how thin it is there, look. Oh, interesting, isn't it?
I might do another one then. I'm definitely pushing the time now while I'm still multitasking with the rest of the elements and now a whole new jelly to make.
It looks like I'm having to fix my dough and Billy's having to fix his jelly. So at the moment, I'm quite pleased to hear that.
I'm really conscious that the mousse is a critical element on this dish. So I cool the plum mixture down and at the same time beat my egg whites and mix up my creme fraiche mixture, and then it's just a matter of folding them all in together nicely and putting them into the fridge.
I have to keep multitasking, so while the plum sauce is reducing, now I have to start peeling all the rhubarb.
Billy, have you worked with rhubarb before?
Not very often.
Oh.
Especially slow cooked in the oven.
How will you tell if it's cooked correctly?
I have no idea.
A press with your finger is always good.
Okay.
Make sure it's just cooked, so it won't be hard, but to keep its shape.
Okay.
Yeah.
You are sweating.
I
mean,
am.
It's freezing cold outside, it's raining, and you are absolutely sweating.
I am.
Are you under pressure here?
It's always under pressure when you're in pressure tests, so you can't help it. But, you know, I want to get through today. That's all I'm thinking.
Rhubarb's a pressure point because you've got to be really careful not to overcook it, but it has to be firm enough to be able to sit on an angle on the dish.
To prepare the mix that has to be poured over the rhubarb, I've got to measure out some sugar and zest an orange and lemon, get a little bit of cinnamon powder, and then that just gets sprinkled onto the rhubarb, which is sitting on top of its peelings.
Once I have all the rhubarbs peeled and cut into the same size, I just quickly put into the oven. And suddenly, Danny just yells out,
Billy, read the recipe. There's a few other things that need to go in there and then you need to cover it with foil.
I didn't look the recipe closely again and totally forgot that I had a lot more things I have to put in.
Lemon, orange, cinnamon.
Thank God Danny is on the balcony yelling out, giving me all these helps and guidance.
Halfway through, 1 hour to go. Come on, guys.
The yuzu cream is used on the plate just as small little dollops. Yuzu juice is quite tart, like a cross between a mandarin and a grapefruit. I just have to get some gelatin into some yuzu juice over a little bit of heat until the gelatin dissolves. Then it's just a matter of mixing that cooled mixture into some creme fraiche and sugar, put it back into a piping bag and into the fridge so it can set as well.
I know that Billy and Kate put their rhubarb in at pretty much exactly the same time. Now, Billy got his rhubarb out of the oven probably about 10 minutes ago, and I can see Kate's is still in there. Kate, have you checked your rhubarb?
The rhubarb, oh my goodness. I go to the oven and sure enough, the rhubarb is way too overcooked. No. The only alternative I have is to start it again.
For the second batch of the jelly, I have to keep stirring and keep an eye on it before it's set. So as soon as I pour on a tray, it looks beautiful. So I'm very happy.
The pleasure for me of this challenge is the fact that both these guys, Billy and Kate, are the king and queen of desserts. They know their stuff. And it's going to make it really hard for us, I hope, to choose a winner and a loser, because I think that they are going to put up two beautiful dishes. Stressed, spelled backwards, is desserts. Coincidence? I don't think so. You've got 45 minutes to go.
Come on, guys, let's go! Come on, Kate! Come on, Billy! Let's go!
It's time to move on to the rose water and cinnamon cream that's going to get put inside the cannoli. It's just a matter of combining the creme fraiche and yogurt, cinnamon, rose water and a little bit of sugar and mixing it all up together, then adding some softened gelatin to it. It's an unfamiliar flavour combination to me, so I'm following that recipe to a T.
I'm pretty comfortable making the dessert. I think the thing that worries me is I'm competing with Kate, and she's a very good dessert maker as well.
Billy, how you going? Good. Because I figure that this challenge is all going to be about not replicating the dish and just putting it up. You've got to be better than Kate if you want to stay in.
Yes, I know.
Like, it's got to be absolutely perfect.
I know.
Did you hear that? It's got to be absolutely perfect.
I know. I'm feeling the pressure more than other pressure tests, for sure. It's just a whole new level of stress.
Now it's time to make the chocolate powder that's sprinkled on the top of the cannoli. All I've got to do is mix in the maltodextrin mixture into my already melted chocolate and grapeseed oil.
Gosh, how to make a mess.
I think it's time to rolly cannoli. You got 30 minutes to go.
Come on!
Go, guys.
Now it's time for me to start rolling the dough in the pasta machine. This is the most crucial part because the cannoli is one of the core features on the dessert. So if I don't get it right, I don't have a dessert. I have to roll the dough as thinly as possible. That's why I have to start rolling from number 1 down to number 7, and just to make sure it's nice and thin and stretchy.
It's an unusual thing to me to put a pastry dough through a pasta machine, but the dough that's coming out the other side, it feels beautiful. And I'm thinking to myself, must remember this and do this again. The question that's going through my mind, though, is how thin?
So would that be thin enough, do you think?
I would go thinner than that.
Thinner than that.
Yep. If it's too thick, it does puff up and you don't get your filling in.
You can't get it in.
Yeah.
Just another disaster that could happen. The consistency is still quite soft. Is that
soft,
normal?
Looking good. You can add some more flour.
Add more flour?
Yeah, yep. I think you can even go thinner
than that.
If it gets too hard to handle, you can cut it in half.
Yep, okay.
Fortunately, I get the thumbs up from them on the dough. It's looking good and I'm feeling happy. Gary wants me, though, to check the mousse in the fridge.
That's runny, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
How long's that been in there now?
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
20 minutes? Should it have set already?
I would think so. Oh, am I supposed to put in the vice chiller?
Remember, you know, it's the volume sometimes.
Yes. No,
Put it
but
in
that's
something
not
deep.
that's not gonna. Oh,
Put it
yeah.
in something deep, takes longer to set.
Gary reminds me that thinning it out will help, obviously, with the time, that it will thicken up quicker. So I decide to tip half of it out of the bowl. The risk of putting it into the blast chiller is that the whole lot can freeze, and then you're stuck with the same problem to try and make a quenelle out of something that's rock hard.
How are you going, Billy?
I'm going all right, I think.
It's a bit firmer than Kate's dough,
is.
isn't it? You feel better?
It feels a lot better. It looks very long, though.
Too long?
Check the sizes. Yeah.
You always do a little bit of your own way anyway, don't you? Your own style.
Yes.
So, you know, it could be just Billy style, extra long. Is everything else made?
Yeah, the mousse, I'm not sure whether we're set or not, so I'll put it into the blast chiller.
Don't want it to freeze, though,
No,
do you?
I don't. So I have to check it.
The recipe has measurements for this cannoli dough, but I don't have a ruler at hand and I don't have time to go and find one. So it's just a matter of making my own estimate of how big this needs to be.
It's opened up a little bit. So do you need to seal it with water?
Egg yolk, normally.
Egg yolk, okay.
Very long as well, isn't it? It's like the longest
long.
cannoli
It is.
on the planet.
The first one I put into the fryer is way too big. So with the next batch, I make the squares much smaller and use a little bit of egg yolk to seal them up.
Making the cannoli is rather tricky. When I try to get the cannoli out of the wooden stick, it just breaks apart on the edges a little bit, and I learned a lesson, so I have to be very gentle on my next cannoli.
You've never heard of cannoli pain before, have you? Well, now you're feeling it. You've got 15 minutes to go.
Come on! You can do it!
I really wanted to start plating with 20 minutes to go so that I could take so much care to do that. But I've still got to cook my cannoli, fill my cannoli, cut my jelly, so the panic, it's setting in.
Okay, get the cannoli out of the fryer.
I love this bit. Maybe I'm a little bit sadistic, but it's that, 15 minutes to go. They intended to have everything ready by now. Still making cannoli. Mousse hasn't quite set, and that's both of them.
They're in trouble because I'm telling you, that dessert would take a good 7 minutes for a professional
Someone who does
plater.
it regularly.
But they're not professionals, they're amateur cooks. There's so much to do, there's so little time.
Careful, careful.
I I now need to trim this jelly and use the part of the jelly that's not too thick, and I have to get a perfect square of jelly cut out. But as soon as I try and lift it off the go-between plastic wrap, it just seems to crumble in my hands. This is proving to be so much trickier than what I had anticipated.
Getting the jelly on the plate is probably the hardest part of plating up this dish, and Kate's struggled a couple of times now.
Now it's time to get a razzle on. You've got to cut the jelly, quenelle the mousse, put all those different elements on a plate with only 10 minutes to go. Come on!
Let's go, guys, come on!
Katrina has told us that there is only one go at getting this jelly onto the plate. Once it's on the plate, you can't move it. This is like handling my first newborn baby. I need to be so careful.
Oh, yeah, Kate.
Good work, Kate.
Oh, nice work.
As I'm cutting my jelly, it looks nice and smooth. And once I put it on a plate, it looks great. But when I try to quenelle the plum mousse, it is a little bit lumpy and it's definitely not the consistency that I was hoping for. I am a little bit worried. I simply can't get to quenelle them, no matter how hard I try.
Guys, you only get one shot at plating this up beautifully. You've got less than 5 minutes to go.
Go, guys, let's go!
I'm getting the mousse out of the freezer. Oh, the tray is frozen. The bowl, not quite set. I try first with the soft mixture, but it just doesn't seem to want to hold together.
It's all right, take your time, stop for a second, breathe, because you're stressing yourself out, right? Have a think about it, stop, get a clean spoon, right, and there's some nice mousse in there.
Yeah.
You're just moving everything around. Just take a little bit of mousse out and quenelle it, OK?
All I can do is use the bits around the edge of the bowl that are the most set and form a vaguely quenelle shape and put it on the plate.
2 minutes to go before it's dessert time.
Come on, guys. Come on.
I think the final minutes of plating up is definitely stressing Billy and Kate out. I think they've had a few issues with getting quenelles and mousse on, and that's taken far too long, and now they're just trying to throw everything on the plate and make it look as much like Katrina's dish as possible.
Billy has a natural flair for plating. He really is so artistic and his plate is coming up absolutely beautifully. I think Kate is going to be struggling a bit to make hers look as nice as Billy's.
I am just in a massive panic. It's a matter of filling this cannoli, but the mixture's not going in neatly.
30 seconds to go.
And so it's just a matter of put the yuzu cream on the plate, put the rhubarb on the plate.
You have 10 seconds.
OK, I think there's cream in there. Put them on the plate.
8, 7.
Put the white powder on the plate.
5, 4.
Put the leaves on the plate.
2, 1. That's it.
Good work, Billy. Well done, Kate.
Oh my God.
As soon as the challenge is over, I walk over to Billy. He's the only other person that understands what we've just been through.
That was hard.
Oh, it was
my
fun,
flowers,
though.
I forgot my flowers.
And when I look at his plate, it looks beautiful. And I know that mine does not.
Hell of a challenge today. Only 2 of them cooking, and arguably the best dessert cooks in the competition. And I think, Katrina, you threw down the gauntlet and gave them something to really aim for. It was a difficult, difficult challenge. But
It was.
I think 2 good desserts out of it.
I think so.
It's only one way to find out how they've gone, and that's to get them in and taste the desserts.
I'm feeling good as I carry my dessert to the judges. At least I have the dessert done. And maybe not exactly as Katrina's, but it looks great on the plate.
So, Billy, how do you think you went?
There was a few hiccups, but I'm pretty happy with the final results.
What did you find the most challenging part of the dish?
The challenging part, I think, is the cannoli.
Billy, we're going to taste now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
I'm happy with my presentation over Kate's, but flavor-wise, who knows?
Well, Billy's done a fantastic job in terms of that presentation. What a beautiful looking plate. The freshness of the flowers and the herbs, a little light dusting across the cannoli of that white chocolate powder, and the colour of that rhubarb looks beautiful, blushing red around the outside. Katrina, you're the expert. How do you feel about that dish?
Yeah, I think he got all the components on the dish. He got the height. I really like the snow on the cannoli, and the rhubarb looks really nicely cooked, not overcooked.
It does look beautiful, and I love the little snow on the top. But there's one thing my eye keeps going to is that sort of lumpy mousse. But there's only one way to find out, and that is taste.
That's to taste it.
Shall we?
Let's. Only a full cannoli for me, George.
Just a half cannoli for me, please, George. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Let's taste.
That cannoli pastry, and that is absolutely
smashing.
textbook. Look at the bubble on that. I mean, that's exactly what you want a cannoli pastry to be. You know, thin, light, bubbly, great crunch. That's definitely one of the hardest things about this dish is getting that pastry right. And Billy's nailed it.
But underneath that, the jelly on the bottom, which is the blackcurrant jelly, just doesn't have any kick of fruit. You can't really taste it. And the plum mousse has got a weird texture where it hasn't set properly, which is a shame.
Yeah, for me, that mousse is, number one, lumpy, but I get a lot of wine flavour from it, like it hasn't been reduced down enough. Cooked out enough.
I didn't get any rosewater cinnamon in the cannoli.
But I do love the rhubarb.
Rhubarb's
it's
fantastic.
Delicious.
And not too acidic. And, you know, I think the rhubarb really gives some of that autumn flavour to the dish.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because from a presentation point of view, I think it looks smashing, I really do. I mean, yet you get underneath it and the flavours are just not as true.
It's a strange feeling walking my dish into the judges. I haven't actually done it like this before. I know there's some elements on there that I'm not 100% happy with, and it certainly doesn't look anything like the dish that Katrina put up for us.
Kate, how'd you go?
I had lots of fun. It was a great challenge. It certainly pushed me. I'm happy with quite a few of the elements on the dish, but there definitely are some that could be improved upon when I cook it next time.
Are you happy with the presentation?
No, it's nothing like the artwork that we saw at the beginning.
We're going to taste now. Thank you. Katrina, at the end of the day, it's your dish. What do you think of the presentation?
Yeah, missing a few of the edible flowers, and the herbs were definitely not picked nicely, but thrown on. The mousse is a little bit soft, and if she'd have gotten the mousse right, it would have all held up a bit better.
What I do like about it looks really vibrant, looks fresh, and the cannoli looked perfectly crunchy. Only one way to find out.
Let's taste.
Let's taste.
Shall we?
Thank you.
What I found really acidic and too tart for my palate was the rhubarb.
Do you think the rhubarb was a bit undercooked?
I think it could have done with a little bit more cooking, yeah.
Things I like. I love the flavour of that mousse. I love the texture of that mousse. It's really light, got a good, clear plum flavour, and super smooth.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. The mousse is really light and has a lovely flavour. The cannoli was nicely cooked and crunchy. Overall, all the components were really nicely done.
This is one of those classic debates we always have, you know, how important is the look of the dish? How important is the flavour of the dish? How do you balance, you know, 4 great flavours on Kate's dish, 2 great flavours on Billy's dish? I think it's quite finely balanced.
Well, as tough as this is, at the end of the day, I think we need to get them in, have a chat to them, and reveal the results. This competition is a long race, and this pressure test is just another hurdle that you didn't want. Kate, first time in a pressure test, first time in this situation.
Yeah.
Tell us what led you to get involved in MasterChef?
Having watched the past 2 seasons, I saw people who I perceived to be very similar to me, who loved cooking, loved food, and I just watched their progression over the course of the show. And it was something that really drew me to it, and I thought, I want to learn, I want to grow.
Kate, what's your end goal in the food industry?
The dream I've had on and off for years that's starting to become more of a possibility in my mind is actually to open up a B&B that has a bit of a foodie slant, so not just breakfast. And I'm thinking, you know, warm things out of the oven upon arrival and options for food throughout their stay if they want them.
Billy, I think we've seen you blossom as a cook, but we've also seen you blossom as a person. You were quite quiet, you were quite shy when you arrived here.
I still am.
I think that there's a bit more there, yeah?
The whole process definitely has opened me up a lot more, and I'm more willing to open to people's help. And obviously, after being in MasterChef, I do start to believe myself that, you know, no matter what I am or who I am, I can do it.
With only 7 people left in the competition, the spotlight on everything you do has never been brighter. The unfortunate thing today is we're sending home one brilliant cook from the competition. Kate, you nailed those flavors. Your yuzu cream was delicious, your mousse was light and airy, but your plating was clumsy and your rhubarb was undercooked. Billy, your mousse was lumpy and your dish lacked flavor across the board. Your cannoli were great, and your dish looked stunning. One of you could be Australia's next master chef, but for one of you, the dream is about to end. Kate, you're safe, you're still in the competition. Billy, I'm sorry to say, you're out. That was an incredibly close pressure test. And I suppose it came down to, at this table, a beautiful dish is always trumped by a dish that tastes great. And that's what happened today. Kate, well done. Billy, you have the knack when it comes to plating.
Billy, I would hire you in my restaurant. You took great care with the detail in the presentation. And Kate, I'd hire you in my restaurant because you extracted all those lovely flavors from each ingredient.
Kate, what's the house gonna miss?
Him.
What's him?
They'll leave.
Fun, laughter, music, dancing, singing. Yeah, I think we've become like each other's surrogate family. So it's kind of a weird position to be in. I'm happy, but yeah, it's another shift in the house.
Billy, what can I say? You know, since we saw you first time in auditions, your desserts have been blow away. You've got a free-thinking brain, which is what it's all about. If you want to open a dessert bar, then I think you can do it.
Billy, favourite moments since you've come back into this competition?
Well, too many to name, to list out, actually. Well, New York, definitely, for sure.
Billy, you're going to the Bronx, the real Little Italy.
And be inside the UN. Oh my God.
UN, holy moly, guacamole.
Then Dalai Lama. It's like, seriously, you can't top that. You can't top that.
What's it?
Holiness. That will, you know, stay in my memory forever.
How would you sum up this whole MasterChef experience?
Wow. How? I think like fireworks explode everywhere.
That's very
Definitely.
appropriate.
There are high and lows, and you know, yeah, definitely has been a wild ride, and enjoy every second of it. Yeah.
Kate, any final words for Billy before he leaves?
I think, Billy, you know the love towards you from the house, and I'm sure that everybody at home is going to be absolutely devastated that you've left. But yeah, we'll see you at the finale.
Yeah,
and I think
definitely.
we know that you're going to follow your dreams, and I can't wait to come to the dessert bar.
Billy, it was a pleasure watching you grow throughout this competition, but unfortunately, now's the time where we have to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, mate.
Thanks for having me. Well, second
Again.
time again. So yeah,
Thanks, Billy.
Thank you, buddy.
Deja vu, second time being eliminated. I'm feeling calm and relaxed actually, but I'm just so glad that I could stay a little bit longer and experience the whole New York and meeting Dalai Lama. Self-confident, definitely. I think I have a lot more since I came back into the competition, and I did a few pretty good challenges, a few good dishes that I'm pretty proud of. So I'm leaving the competition now totally satisfied with what I've achieved.
We're waiting at home to find out who's coming back from the elimination today, and it's sort of a very nervous dinner. I hope Billy comes back, there's too many chicks in this house.
Whoever's coming home is coming home to a good meal. Yes. I don't think any of us can pick who's coming home today because they were very close. There is enormous anticipation just watching that lift.
Oh, there's a lift. Comes
Oh my God, there's a lift.
3.
Oh my God. Who is it? When Kate walks in, I'm really excited. I'm so happy that she got through today, and I'm really glad to see her back in the house.
And they said basically that in this competition, when it comes down to it, flavouring's always going to trump plating.
I have had an absolute ball with Billy throughout the whole competition. He's such a character and he's such a great friend, but it's not long now to the final and we can all have a big reunion.
To the
Top 6. Cheers. Good night.
Tomorrow night, Danny plays for immunity against the celebrity MasterChef champion.
I can't believe that Eamon Sullivan is going to be cooking up against me, little old me.
This dish is one of Eamon's tried and tested recipes.
It's Chocolate Delice, the dish that brought him victory in the celebrity finale.
I am putting my ego on the line today.
They'll both have their issues.
I cannot believe it. I've managed to burn the white chocolate.
I'm seriously worried. I can see this challenge slipping away from me.
30 seconds to go. 30 seconds.
Come on, Eamon, what are you doing?
Watch out, it's going to be a tight one.
Danny,
Please, 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 Matt.
I scored your dish.